You ever wake up, grab your phone, and suddenly your entire timeline looks like a soap opera written by Tyler Perry on 3 Red Bulls? 'Cause that's exactly what happened when Lala Anthony Alicia Keys and Swizz Beatz turned social media into a circus overnight. Tell me this, how do you go from smiling on red carpets, sharing dinners, and calling each other sis to allegedly plotting betrayal that feels straight out of a Netflix drama? And let's not pretend this is your regular oops, we hugged too long type of scandal. No, this is betrayal with a capital B, wrapped in a bow of receipts, whispers, and a kiss so public it practically needed its own press release. Are we talking about jealousy, karma, or just straight up audacity? Because what we're seeing right now is mess on mess on mess. And the real question is, did Lala just pull the biggest stunt of the year right under Alicia's nose? Or has Swizz been out here recycling the same chaos he's been serving women for over a decade? Either way, buckle up because the tea is boiling hotter than Alicia's piano under stage lights. And trust me, you're gonna want to hear every messy detail. All right, let us begin with the fire because this entire scandal is not some little side gossip that blows away in a few hours. This is the kind of drama that crawls into every corner of social media and refuses to leave. The kind of chaos that makes you question whether celebrities live in the same world as us, eh? Or if they are secretly auditioning for the messiest reality show of all time. At the center of it all, we have Swizz Beatz, a man who has built a career out of producing hits, collecting flashy cars, living the high life, and somehow always skating past the ugliest rumors without letting them stick for long. But when you peel back the polished surface, the reality is far from glamorous because Swizz has been accused of playing the same game for years. Juggling women, dodging accountability, and acting like the rules of loyalty simply do not apply to him. People love to say once a cheater, always a cheater. And in his case, the timeline makes that phrase feel like prophecy carved into stone. Years ago, he was with Mashonda, his wife at the time, and the world remembers clearly how Alicia Keys entered the picture, claiming it was all love and fate, while Mashonda shouted from the rooftops that no, the timelines overlapped, that she and Swizz were still under the same roof, raising a child when Alicia swooped in. Mashonda even wrote that famous open letter, practically begging Alicia to take a step back. And what did Alicia do? She smiled for the cameras, linked arms with Swizz, and played the role of happily ever after. For a while it worked, because the world wanted to believe in the fantasy of music's golden couple. But karma does not take days off. And if you listen closely, you can almost hear it laughing now. Fast forward and here we are with rumors that Lala Anthony, the same Lala, who stood by Carmelo Anthony through scandal after scandal, has been secretly entangled with Swizz behind Alicia's back. Let that sink in for a moment because this is not some stranger from outside the circle. This is someone Alicia actually considered close. Someone who attended her events, smiled in her photos, called her a friend. Betrayal by an outsider is one thing, but betrayal by someone who has been in your living room, who has clinked glasses with you at dinner, who has posed for pictures with your children, that cuts so much deeper. And if the whispers are true, this was not a one-time slip, not a random drunken moment of weakness, but a situation that allegedly stretched on for years. The internet is buzzing that Alicia discovered a tape, a piece of evidence too bold to ignore, that allegedly showed Swizz and Lala being way too comfortable behind closed doors. And the second she saw it, every suspicion she had buried for years exploded to the surface. Imagine that moment when every time you ignored a rumor or brushed off a shady comment, suddenly flashes in front of your eyes and confirms itself in the ugliest way possible. What makes it worse is that Lala herself was dealing with her own storm because Carmelo Anthony's reputation for stepping out has been headline news for years. He embarrassed her publicly, he humiliated her privately. And through it all, she was painted as the victim, the ride-or-die wife who put up with more than she deserved. People sympathized with her, cheered her on when she finally filed for divorce. praised her strength. Now imagine the plot twist of discovering she may not have been so innocent after all. That while the world pitied her, she was allegedly out here, building a messy triangle of her own with a man already famous for breaking vows. The irony is almost too loud to ignore. And the fact that Alicia was once in Lala's shoes, accused of being the other woman who took someone's husband, only makes the circle complete. Once upon a time, Mashanda begged Alicia to back off, to give her marriage a chance, and Alicia turned away, building her happily ever after on top of another woman's heartbreak. Now the whispers say that Alicia is the one crying behind closed doors, blindsided by a betrayal she never thought would come from someone so close. And of course, Swizz is not new to this. Its record speaks for itself. From fathering children, outside his marriage, to juggling timelines that overlap in ways only he can explain, he has always carried the reputation of a man who thrives on chaos. He has always managed to dodge the worst of the backlash. But this time, the cracks are starting to show, because the internet never forgets and people are finally connecting the dots. Fans have pulled up old screenshots of Lala leaving flirty comments under his posts, laughing at his jokes, being the first to like, the first to reply. And it suddenly does not look like harmless banter anymore. Even insiders claim that Swizz's own team warned him that Alicia was starting to notice that the optics were bad. But he never shut it down completely, because why would he, when chaos has always followed him like a shadow? And the public kiss that set everything ablaze was the cherry on top, because nothing screams bold like stepping out into the spotlight and giving everyone a reason to stare. People are calling it the kiss that shook the internet, the kiss that turned whispers into full-blown conversations, the kiss that cracked open years of suspicion into one loud, messy headline. And that is where the scandal truly begins to spin out of control. Because what started as private whispers has erupted into a public spectacle. A firestorm of accusations, speculation, and finger-pointing that shows no signs of slowing down. Asterisk, when the public kiss hit the internet, it was like gasoline on a fire that was already burning, because suddenly everyone who had ever whispered about Swizz's wandering ways or side-eyes Lala's two friendly comments had the confirmation they were waiting for. And the reaction was instant and brutal. Timelines flooded with memes, think pieces, and fake investigative threads that made it look like the FBI was on the case. People were pulling out receipts from years back, zooming into old photos, connecting dots that nobody had cared about before, like that one event where Alicia and Lala were photographed, laughing together while Swizz stood in the background with a grin that now looks way too suspicious. Or that party where Lala was spotted sitting a little too close, and every tiny detail suddenly felt like evidence in a trial being held on Instagram. The so-called insiders crawled out from every corner, claiming that Alicia had always suspected something, but ignored it because she thought she had already conquered the worst when she survived the drama with Mashanda, that she convinced herself she had tamed Swizz, that she believed love and family and brand building could change a man who never wanted to change. But the alleged tape shattered all of that in seconds. Some even went as far as to claim that Alicia went into full meltdown mode, screaming, crying, throwing things in their home, demanding answers while Swizz played dumb, swearing it was nothing, just friends, just jokes, while Lala suddenly went silent on social media, as if disappearing into thin air would erase the smoke surrounding her. The streets started talking about how this was not new at all, that Swizz and Lala had been sneaking around for years, keeping it low, covering it with group hangs and industry events, and that the only reason it stayed hidden so long was because Swizz has always been a master of spin, quick to distract with flashy cars, art collections, and charity events, while quietly living a double life. The betrayal cuts deeper when you remember that Lala herself was supposed to be healing from Carmelo's mess. The baby rumors, the late-night cheating stories, the side women who embarrassed her, and fans are now asking if maybe she was never as innocent as she played it, if maybe she was retaliating in her own way. if maybe the victim narrative was too convenient. It is like watching a house of cards collapse because Alicia's entire brand of love and peace and harmony is crumbling in real time. People are dragging up Matanda's old letter and saying she warned the world that Swizz was not trustworthy, that Alicia was building a castle on quicksand, that no amount of music or smiling interviews could erase the truth that history always repeats itself when you ignore the red flags. The irony is almost cruel because the very woman who once ignored another wife's pleas is now facing the same pain. Except this time the other woman is someone who once called her friend, and that is the kind of twist that not even Hollywood writers could script. And as all of this spills out, the public has gone from shock to popcorn-eating fascination. Watching every move, waiting for a statement, dissecting every Instagram like, every unfollow, every cryptic quote posted on stories. Because in the age of social media, silence speaks louder than words. And right now, the silence from both Alicia and Lala is deafening. Swizz, of course, continues to play it cool, showing up in public, posting art, acting as if nothing is happening. But the cracks are visible because even his most loyal supporters are questioning him now. Even the people who used to defend him are pointing out that too. Many timelines line up. Too many rumors sound alike. Too many women have said the same thing over the years. The manipulation runs deep if you believe the whispers that he kept Lala on a string, promising her attention, promising her more, but never giving up his family life because he wanted both, the thrill of the affair and the comfort of the home. That is the coldest part. The idea that he fed to women different versions of the truth while standing on stages preaching about love. Because it makes every romantic lyric, every carefully staged photo, every award show kiss look like performance. Art designed to hide the chaos behind the curtains. Fans have turned into detectives, pulling up old live streams where Lala and Alicia joked together. Analyzing body language, saying Alicia always looked slightly tense when Lala was around. And now they believe that tension was suspicion building quietly in her gut. The betrayal stings not just because of the cheating, but because of the intimacy of the circle. The closeness of the relationships. The sense that this was not just breaking vows, but breaking trust on multiple levels. And that is why the internet is eating this story alive, because it is not just about love triangles. It is about how messy and cruel betrayal becomes when it is dressed up as friendship. And the craziest part is the whispers say this is only the beginning, that more is about to surface. That the tape was just the spark. And there are more receipts, more screenshots, more people ready to talk. And if that is true, then this entire empire that Alicia and Swizz built is about to collapse under the weight of its own secrets, as the dust keeps rising. The fallout is becoming impossible to ignore, because scandals like this do not stay contained to whispers and shady blogs. They explode into something bigger, something that drags reputations, careers, and even financial empires into the spotlight. And right now, all eyes are on Alicia Keys, who built her image on love and positivity and family, but is suddenly being forced to stand in the same uncomfortable shoes that Mashonda once stood in. Except this time she cannot paint herself as the savior or the misunderstood woman. Now she is the betrayed wife. The one who has to decide whether to fight for her marriage, or walk away, or simply pretend for the cameras while everything burns. Behind closed doors, fans are watching closely because Alicia has always been calculated about what she shares. Every post curated, every interview polished, every word wrapped in elegance. But the internet thrives on cracks, and this scandal is one giant fracture in the glass house. Some reports even claim that lawyers are being quietly consulted if the conversations have shifted from forgiveness to custody arrangements and asset protection. Because let us not forget, we are talking about a couple with immense wealth, property and branding tied together. And divorces at this level are less about love and more about who controls the empire. On the other side of the storm is Lala, whose reputation has taken a nosedive overnight because for years she wore the crown of the woman who endured Carmelo's humiliations. The wife who stayed through the cheating headlines, the mistress baby, rumors, the countless stories of Mello stepping out. And the public wrapped her in sympathy and saw her as strong, loyal, and undeserving of the pain. But now the image is cracking wide open, because if she was secretly with Swizz, then maybe she was not as pure as everyone thought. Maybe she was running her own game in the shadows, and the narrative of victimhood is slipping through her fingers. The irony is sharp because Mello himself was dragged through the mud for years, and now people are saying maybe he knew. Maybe he felt the betrayal long before the world did. Maybe that is why their marriage truly collapsed. Not because he was the only cheater, but because both were stepping out in different directions. And then there is Swizz, who continues to glide through the chaos as if he is allergic to accountability, brushing off the noise, posting art collections, promoting projects, pretending as though nothing has changed while his name is tied to betrayal after betrayal. And the public is finally starting to tire of it, because for too long he has been allowed to slip away from the consequences, to smile his way out of scandals. But the weight of history is heavy, and people are dragging his entire timeline back to the surface, from Nicole Levy and the child conceived while Mashonda was pregnant, to the quick jump from wife to Alicia, to every overlapping date and messy affair that has painted him as the man who cannot commit to loyalty no matter how much he talks about family. The betrayal is not just personal anymore, it is cultural, because fans are beginning to question how many celebrities are living double lives. How many polished family photos are nothing more than smokescreens? And how much of what we admire is built on the pain of someone else? And it is in that question where the scandal becomes more than gossip. It becomes a lesson in cycles, because once upon a time Mashonda stood humiliated while Alicia played the role of the woman in love. Now Alicia is humiliated while Lala allegedly takes her place. And the wheel of betrayal keeps spinning, with Swizz at the center, as if he is the puppet master of his own toxic opera. Social media has turned into a courtroom where Alicia's silence is seen as confession, Lala's absence is seen as guilt, and Swizz's calmness is seen as arrogance. And the public is not forgiving, because betrayal layered with hypocrisy cuts the deepest. Rumors are now swirling that endorsements may be at risk, that Alicia's carefully crafted image could suffer brand damage, that La's acting opportunities might dwindle under the weight of scandal, and that even Swizz could face backlash in the industry if the pressure continues to build. And while none of them have spoken out publicly, the silence is louder than any statement could be. Because everyone knows when celebrities go dark, it is usually because the lawyers are strategizing, the publicists are panicking, and the truth is too messy to control. The betrayal is a domino that is tipped into every corner, dragging children, friends, colleagues, and fans into the storm. And it leaves the question of how much longer this house of cards can stand before it collapses completely. So now the question becomes, what do we even make of this chaos? Is this just another celebrity scandal that will vanish once the next headline drops? Or is this the unraveling of one of the most carefully polished images in the industry? Because no matter how you spin it, the betrayal here is too raw, too personal, too ironic to simply sweep under the rug. And it leaves us staring at the wreckage, asking ourselves who was real and who was just performing for the cameras. Do we sympathize with Alicia for finally facing the same storm she once helped create? Do we feel for Lala, who might have been silently carrying secrets while the world painted her as a saint? Or do we finally hold Swizz accountable for a trail of broken hearts and shattered homes that stretches back years? The answers may never come straight from their mouths. But that is exactly why conversations like this matter, because the silence is deafening, but the questions are louder. And now I want to hear from you. Do you think Alicia will forgive? Do you think Lala will admit? Do you think Swizz will ever change? Drop your thoughts below. Like, share, and subscribe, because the truth is just getting started.